everybody. It's me, Par, with your host, Omar, as well, and the Retro Show. Uh,
Welcome
this
in.
week, this week we're going to what's been described even by you as the apex of the entire decade.
The pinnacle, the zenith of 80s music
Yeah,
culture.
the dead center of the decade, the dead center of the year,
We
July 13th, 1985. The week ending July 13th, 1985, as dictated by Billboard magazine and Casey Kasem.
so without any further ado, let's start with number 10. What do we have at number 10?
All right, number 10, we have a movie song by Cyndi Lauper, a song that doesn't get played much, I believe, much these days. The Goonies Are Good Enough.
Yeah.
A fun song, like a lot of Cyndi Lauper songs. I mean, Cyndi Lauper had barely been on the scene a year, and then she was getting premier movie songs. I think this movie is particularly poignant this year, with one of the stars of the Goonies and previously Indiana Jones Temple of Doom winning Best Supporting Actor just this year, 40 years later,
Yes.
35 years later, about 40 years, about 38. Um, and I'm blanking on his name, of course, but it was a very heartfelt speech that he gave at the Academy Awards.
Absolutely. It was moving. So this doesn't come as like the first or second Cyndi Lauper hit, good enough, but
Right.
it's a song that holds up. It's a great song.
Yeah,
And
I
Cyndi
like it.
Lauper, she was riding this wave. I mean, you could argue that after Madonna, she was probably the most uh, star, almost iconic, even back then, female pop singer. And don't underestimate the crossover to wrestling, which was a transcendent moment. We forget about this, but that was part of what uh, in the early WrestleManias brought wrestling from kind of the fringes into more of the mainstream. And Cyndi Lauper was like played a pivotal role in that.
Yeah, her and Captain Lou Albano.
Captain Lou with the rubber bands and the beard. Yeah, they were, and she was, after Girls Just Want to Have Fun. I mean, this was great, and Goonies. I put it up there with, Ghostbusters and Gremlins and the Indiana Jones movies as one of those, adventure kids-oriented movies that really kind of defined a generation and inspired a lot of things now, even with like Stranger Things, a lot of them nostalgia for the 80s and that kind of style of stuff where kids together doing things with seemingly no parental involvement whatsoever.
Sort of a Peanuts
Yeah,
homage.
exactly. Yeah, so a great song, still holds up, outstanding. Okay.
Yeah, I like the parallel to Stranger Things. That makes sense. But I tell you, the next time I see the Goonies, will be the first because I've actually never seen it.
So since we're confessing, it's one of those movies where I don't think I've seen it. I don't remember seeing it continuously all the way through.
Right.
So it's
Pieces.
in bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So we promised our fans that we're going to be quick in going through this list. So I'm going to go right into number 9. We're going to be quick in going through this list. So I'm going to go right into number 9.
Yes.
One icon to another, none other than Bruce Springsteen with
The
Glory
Boss.
Days. Yeah. I would say Glory Days was probably after maybe Born in the USA and maybe Dancing in the Dark, and maybe beyond it, probably his next big kind of mainstream crossover hit. And this was when Bruce was at his peak as well.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're waxing nostalgic, and this song is about nostalgia, going back to your glory days and talking about kids from high school and with some baseball references thrown in. So,
He could throw that
classic
speed
song.
ball by you, make you feel like a fool boy.
Although I've never heard the term speedball other than like in a sort of
Yeah.
a substance abuse context. So That one sounded a little odd, but yeah, I could listen to that
And
at any time.
and not to pick on the boss too much, but his form there on the mound left, yeah, he
Yeah,
really short armed it, and just no
yeah,
follow through in the delivery. Just yeah,
he could
no,
have used
no
a
body
stunt
for it.
double.
Yeah, Tom
And,
House would
and
not
I
have.
believe I believe his line in the video was Nettles got me bottom of the ninth.
That's a good recall. I didn't remember that.
Something like that.
But
Uh,
you know, and again, since we're in a confessional mood, you know, if I just look at Bruce Springsteen's songs, I mean, I respect, you know, he's a singer songwriter and he's got the whole E Street Band, all 50 of them. But the songs were okay. They're passable, but never really did it.
oh yeah. I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan, but I would say that album got me to explore his earlier stuff, which I much prefer actually a lot of his late 70s stuff.
Ah, okay. Well,
And I heard more of that in college too. So that I was given a deeper dive.
yeah.
But you're right. I think the Born in the USA stuff was definitely geared for, sort of all audiences, kind of watered down.
Exactly. And I think probably as far as videos with a baseball theme, I think after basically the all-time number one, which would be Center Field by John Fogerty,
Right. Same year.
this would probably
Same
be
year.
up there. Yeah,
1985, spring of 1985.
to another time. Okay, what do we have at number 8?
All right, number 8 is a real alternative classic that surprisingly hit it mainstream. Voices Carry by Till Tuesday. At the time, Till Tuesday looking just like any old sort of 80s emo band.
Yeah,
Um, but little did we know that Amy Mann would become a prolific songwriter, eventually marrying um, uh, the brother of the famous actor, and I'm thinking, but a man who had his own one-hit wonder. Shoot, um, no myth. Michael Penn, brother of Sean Penn.
oh,
Michael Penn, who
is
had
it,
a
is
had a
that, is that No Myth?
that's no myth. He had his time in the sun in the late 80s or early
Yes,
90s. Is married to Amy Mann.
I didn't know that.
Uh,
I didn't even know her name was Amy Mann. I just
yeah,
remember her as the girl in the video who takes off her wig and starts crying like a banshee.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's so for me, it's Voices Carry. I remember the chorus like the song just came out on the radio. It's
yeah,
just very distinctive, kind of catchy,
yeah,
alternative. And again, one of those where the video, this was right at the height of MTV as well,
yeah.
when it's in its full glory. So, you know, sometimes even a mediocre song with a great video caught fire. And if he had a good song, but a not so great video, it would still be good. But if he had a decent song with a compelling video that had a different look, it would be in mass circulation. And this is one of those. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't, can you name another one of their songs? I honestly can't recall one.
Yeah, actually, well, there was a kind of the rest of the songs didn't get a lot of radio play, but there's like Coming Up Close, Welcome Home, which is just like this very melancholy song. They had another album in '86 where their lead single was called What About Love, but these were songs that got played a little bit on alternative radio, and that
Right.
was about it. That they had nothing that hit the top 40 charts like Voices Carry
Yeah.
ever again.
Now, were they a British import or were they
No, they were from Boston.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not as, again, all I know of them and ever have is Up Till Tuesday as Voices Carry.
Yeah. And I'm a fan of Amy Mann's solo stuff too. So I guess I'm just a fanboy.
Wow. Wow. We'll have to do Michael Penn
Yes.
another time as well. I guess I'm up next, right? To
You're up
keep
next
to
with
keep this moving.
number 7.
Number seven. arguably maybe the greatest pure pop singer of all time. I'd probably put her up there. None other than Whitney Houston, with not one of her maybe best known songs, but another one that just shows her vocal range and her brilliance. You Give Good Love. And I can't say You Give Good Love without saying You Give Good Love. And that's probably, that's my horrible attempt to carry the title of this song. But again, I see a Whitney Houston titled song. You have to, try to.
Did you see the Whitney Houston biopic? I didn't see it yet.
I did not. I saw the billboards all
I
around.
Want to Dance with Somebody.
Yeah. I didn't even see how long was it even in theaters? There's even just
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear much about it. Most biopics are pretty straight, kind of they play it pretty straight. So they're rarely compelling. I thought Bohemian Rhapsody was pretty interesting, but most of them are pretty dry. So I don't know if this one was from that at all, because there were a lot of interesting details about her life that came out in the last 5 years about a lot of what went into a lot of her mental health issues and her drug use.
So is this like even pre Bobby Brown?
Well, I mean, the big one that came out that I don't want to besmirch her or say things out of line, but it was suggested that her sexual orientation was suppressed by all of her producers and handlers because they wanted her to be this mainstream white friendly singer, and that a lot of her sound was geared 100% towards non R&B audience.
Wow. So there's always those whispers when you have celebrity marriages that it's done sometimes as a cover for one or both.
Right.
Now again, not to besmirch, because that's not what we do in the show, but I'm not hearing that. I think that is really interesting. I mean, I know that she came from her mother was a very respected singer and
gospel.
Right. And wasn't she like a backup singer for like a famous artist or group? I
don't know. I don't recall. I know more about her aunt.
Her aunt being
Dionne Warwick.
Yes. And Dionne and her psychic friends probably predicted when he's, I know you saw me going there. Dionne Warwick, who's again, star in her own right. But
I'm more a fan of her friends, Elton John and company, because that's what love is for.
That's what
that's what friends are for. Sorry, that's what friends are for.
Yeah, exactly. But You Give Good Love.
By the way, You Give Good Love, that was her very first single. That was the first release from that big debut album.
No. I know. I thought her first big single was from a previous album, was Saving All My Love for You.
No, that was from the same album, but that would come out kind of the same summer, 85. But she hit the scene in the spring of 85.
So this was her first song before Saving All My Love?
This was the first release. Saving All My Love might have been a bigger hit.
Yeah.
But this was the first release from
the album Whitney?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But man, she just burst on the scene. And I'm sorry about all of the tragic, but hopefully she succumbed to. But anyway. But coming back to the countdown again to keep things moving, that is number 7. So
number 6, another sort of alternative artist that got his 15 minutes of mainstream fame, Paul Young, Every Time You Go Away, with a remake of a Hall & Oates song. But he took it to new heights. And it was the sort of ballad of that summer.
Yeah. This was for me 7th grade. Yeah, 8th grade. Some 7th grade. Summer.
Well, I was just finishing the 9th grade, so you were just finishing the 8th grade.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite songs ever, and I really like I heard this Paul Young's version before I went back and heard the the Hall and Oates version. And so I get, clearly you can see the Hall and Oates, effect. And I love
Yeah.
Daryl Hall. He's such a soulful singer. But Paul
Oh
Young,
yeah.
since I heard this one first, this is what I first think of.
Oh
And
yeah. I barely even am aware of the Hall and Oates version, but they get the songwriting proceeds, so they're happy, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah. But you talk about like nostalgia. I remember hearing this song at that age. I was, what, 13, going on 14. And I felt nostalgic about yesteryear back then hearing this song. And I remember there was a really good friend of mine who who was from the Philippines, and then he was moving back to the Philippines that after the school year. Benjamin Carino, that was his name.
Oh, look
And
at that.
so I really, we got close. I really missed him when he went away. So this song came out right around the time. So I just really, I thought about him and friends that were kind of, that weren't going to go on with me to the same high school and such, So, and this song just, hits all the emotional buttons for me.
Oh yeah. And even my father, who was minimally aware of pop culture at any time, I remember him taking notice of this song and even trying to sing it at times. It,
Oh,
it, it seeped into so many other areas.
yeah. Now, there's the radio version and then the extended version, like the full version is where you have more of the chorus.
Oh,
Every time you go. And so that one is, I like that one too.
oh, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, love this song. There are a
Yeah.
few songs that really hit certain emotional chords for me. This is definitely one of them. So, wow. We could
All
go
right.
on, but we're trying to, since we're
But,
keeping it punchy.
but by the way, I just learned recently that the other Paul Young, and I didn't even know his name was Paul Young, but the lead singer of Mike and the Mechanics, who was a contemporary of these guys, he passed away like 20 years ago, suddenly of a heart attack.
Really?
Like 2000, somewhere around there. So there were two Paul Youngs, in this time period, and one of them
Yeah.
passed away early.
And so ironic that you brought up Mike and the Mechanics to take a quick sidebar. I mentioned songs
Yeah,
that always hit me right here.
yeah.
In addition to Every Time You Go Away, The Living Years by Mike and the Mechanics.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I
And-
just, one of the most emotional songs for me.
Yeah.
And just, another song that just wrecks me
Yeah,
every time I hear it.
it
Yeah.
speaks for itself.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, we're gonna
All
keep
right,
this.
so you've got number 5? Is that right?
Number five, we talked about a few other iconic female 80s performers who were legendary. We talked about Cyndi Lauper, we talked about Whitney Houston, but the 80s would not be complete without talking about Annie Lennox. And
Yeah.
and number 5 is Would I Lie to You? Love this song. And this really has that blues, that Motown vibe. And
Yeah.
Lennox is
Who,
just such a
who knew that was coming from this synth pop band?
Yeah, and it's since then and even now, I mean, Annie Lennox, she's still a really great performer. That she's got that distinctive booming voice, and this is
Yeah.
one of the first ones where she really, I
Let
think
loose.
playing to her strengths, which is that bluesy, soulful, kind of style.
Yeah, I for one didn't see it coming.
You thought she was just this sort of orange-haired dominatrix.
Yeah, I thought she would.
Sure.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can say I didn't know what a dominatrix was at that time. But yeah, I figured she would have songs with like robot, voices in it, and just lots of crazy synthesizer. But they went, electric guitar and bluesy. So credit to them for expanding their horizons.
Yeah, yeah. No, so this was now was this I'm thinking this was a remake of an older song, or I don't know if this was like an original.
I thought it was original, but I couldn't tell you.
Again, if we ever decide to do research down the road, that would be a feature to add to our list.
We'll hire somebody for that.
Yeah.
A research guy.
Better yet, folks watching this in the comments, please correct us, correct our knowledge about this. Was this an original or a remake of a prior hit, a Motown?
Yeah. We don't want Dave Stewart, the great Dave Stewart, to be mad at us for taking away his songwriting credits.
Right, right. And amazing that Dave Stewart could take time off from being a pitcher for the Oakland A's to be.
And take time off from being African American.
Yeah, this Dave, and they're husband and wife, co-collaborators, and
oh wait, they were?
Huh?
They were? I didn't realize that.
Well, I'm assuming. I thought they were actually, together.
I don't recall. Yeah, more research.
Yeah, again, we're just continuously embarrassing ourselves. I could have sworn. Or I'm going to say, if they weren't, at least it was inevitable at some point. Those collaborators.
I'm sure they had a flame somewhere in there.
Sparks must have flown. Look at us. We've turned this, once respectable podcast into just salacious rumor mongering about relationships and gossip.
And we don't dare besmirch ever.
No, absolutely not. Okay. Well, before we get into any legal trouble, maybe we go on to the next one.
Move on. Well, this is one of my favorite ballads ever. I literally was singing it in the kitchen the other day. "The Search Is Over" by Survivor. Kind of the third, the hat trick of singles from their album after "I Can't Hold Back," "High on You," and then the power ballad "The Search Is Over." So it really kind of accentuated their run from that album. Probably their most successful album ever, despite having such a big powerhouse single in, "Eye of the Tiger" 3 years earlier. But as far as albums, heavy.
Yeah. No. Beautiful song. Well sung. I mean, I don't know the lead singer's name. I don't remember, but.
Well, I happened to watch a YouTube random thing just the other day, and this was the guy who replaced the original Beret guy who sang.
This wasn't Beret guy?
No, he had health problems. He had vocal cord issues. Had to band. No. And so a guy by the name of Jimmy Jamison was hired and he was considered to have a tremendous voice, and I think he definitely fit the bill.
Wow. No, so for me, but Survivor, obviously, you think "Eye of the Tiger," and I also think "Burning Heart" from Rocky IV, like for the Ivan Drago one,
yeah, 3 and then 4, yeah.
But this is right up there, and of course different. Those were just hard driving, those were like your
intense,
workout songs, right?
But Siberian workout song.
Yes. If you're just flipping, dragging sleds and flipping tires and squatting, big logs in Siberia, that's the song for you, "Burning Heart." But "Search Is Over," just a very sweet melodic song. But and I know Survivor, they're still together in some form. They still do the county fairs and festivals, so they're still riding up. But I'm sorry to hear that Beret guy is not part of that.
Well, who knows? He might be back in if modern medicine took care of things. But at least at that time, he had to step away. Their prime.
Yeah, but great song, and one of those artists that just they were there. I don't want to say flash in the pan because they had multiple hits.
Yeah.
But they had their time, and and that was basically it. But I mean, this song definitely has legacy. So, all right, should we keep going?
Let's continue. And I think you got number 3.
All the way up to number 3 already.
Another icon.
Almost too fast. Oh my gosh! Wow. Yeah, I mean, the artist formerly known as and came back to be known as Prince with The Revolution, with one of my favorites, "Raspberry Beret." See, this song to me is just a very playful song, and Prince, incredible singer, songwriter, guitarist, composer,
right?
And
performer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Incredible. And this song just to me is like,
Apparently, he was quite the basketball player too.
we came to find out later,
Yeah.
thanks to Charlie Murphy and Dave Chappelle. Yeah, all three of them. Apparently, he was like all state in Minnesota or something.
Wow.
He was like really good. But Raspberry Beret, I mean, I still remember the lyrics, right? Off the top of my head. I was working part-time at a five and dime. My boss was Mr. McGee. He told me several times that he didn't like my kind because I was being too leisurely. Seems that I was busy doing something close to nothing, but different than the day before. That's when I saw her. She walked in through the outdoor. She wore up. Yeah. So, yeah.
And when it was warm, she didn't wear much more.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
Yeah. And then, yeah. Great song, playful, innuendo, but not dirty like some of his other stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was telling an interesting story, but it was really painting a picture.
Yeah, and painting a picture and very vivid, almost like it's in the video too. There's a lot of color, in the video and color to the song. So yeah, I love this song.
It was amazing how prolific he was. I mean, that was the lead single for his next album after Purple Rain, and Purple Rain had been only out a year. I mean, that the single came out in the spring of '84. The movie and album came out in the fall of '84.
Yeah.
And by the summer of '85, he was already on to the next album with Raspberry Beret and Top Life and those singles.
Yeah, incredible. But yeah, very vivid storytelling, vivid lyrics. I mean, the fact that I can just, certain songs, you just start it and then, just kind of comes right off. I mean, just great. Just brilliant artist. So
yeah.
We
so I've got number 2 then, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, a song by an artist I'm a big fan of, but a song title that has baffled, analysts for decades. Sussudio by Phil Collins. I don't know what Sussudio is to this day. I remember various, late night shows trying to figure out what it was and lampooning it quite a bit. But it was a big hit, the follow up to One More Night, from Phil Collins. So kind of a real dancey number. I believe it even would hit number 1 on the soul charts at the time. It's what I remember Casey Kasem saying just the other day on this countdown. So that sounded a little odd, but I guess it was really danceable that way.
Yeah, as they say, in the African American community, for certain people to cross over, they would he's invited to the cookout, Phil Collins. So he got his,
him and Daryl Hall.
Yeah. Phil Collins, he was, I mean, a hit monster.
Yeah.
Whether Genesis or on his own, and yeah, Sussudio. I'm sure somewhere he's discussed it, or somewhere like what the actual meaning was.
Yeah,
but lots of songs, lots of guesswork. Yeah, I mean, it was heavily played. I like the song. I mean, I would put it sort of maybe not even in my top 5 of songs that he's done, honestly. But it's just a playful song. A lot of good horn action.
Yeah, that's true.
Great horn, which I know we've talked about this before. Not enough good, sax and trumpet and trombone, like horn sections in modern pop music. Somehow that's sort of, died out. Maybe due for a rebirth.
Yeah, he was clearly a fan. I mean, just a few months earlier, he had done the duet "Easy Lover" with Philip Bailey of Earth, Wind and Fire. So
love that song.
So he's clearly a fan of the horns.
Yeah. But that's to me, one of the things that I remember about this song is the use of that and just Phil being just Phil just playful and again at the top of his game. So
yeah.
All right.
You've got the honors of the number 1 song, my friend.
Number 1 song. And as someone told me, that someone being you right before we started, the first
during our research session.
Yes, our research.
Our pre-show.
The first song from a James Bond movie to go to #1 in the pop charts, and that being A View to a Kill from the movie A View to a Kill by the one and only legendary 80s phenomenon, Duran Duran. So, where to start? I really like the song, great song. Duran Duran, incredibly influential. I think they were kind of maybe one of the first groups that really, I mean, before you had sort of the boy bands that came out a generation later in the 90s, they had that look. Now they were an actual band, musicians, everything with Simon Le Bon fronting. But, that's critics of them would say, oh, there's a pretty boy group. But I mean, their songwriting, which really had good long, legs into the, into the 90s, to me, very impressive. So great song. Simon Le Bon's vocals with the track, soulful, kind of sultry, perfect Bond music, really, to me.
Yeah. No, that's the thing about Duran Duran. I mean, I thought they were just this amazing alternative band, really, that had enough pop hooks to cross over. And yeah, they happened to be, poster material for teenage girls, but I was never embarrassed to be a fan, even being a guy. I mean, the music was that good.
Right. So when you bought your issues of Tiger Beat back then, it was just for the articles and for the background about
It was for the Sea Monkey ads that I tried to purchase many time.
Yeah. But yeah, and I can't remember A View to a Kill. Was that a Timothy Dalton, or was that a
No, I think Timothy Dalton came a couple years later. I think that was the last of the Roger Moores.
Was it a Roger Moore? Okay, yeah, you were right.
I'm pretty sure. We'll have to ask our head of research later, but I'm pretty sure it was.
And I got to cheat. I just caught a glance there with Christopher Walken and
Christopher Walken.
Grace Jones.
Grace Jones, yes, I more remember Grace Jones from that.
Who was frightening in that role, man. She was someone that you wouldn't want to mess with.
She was a man eater.
She was kind of like the fighting villain in that, right?
Right. She wasn't the glamour villain. She was
right. There's always the two. There's always like the mastermind who, he's like, evil with the cat on his stroking the cat on his lap, kind of the Dr. Evil, motif that was spoofed. And then you got the, the fighting one, Moonraker and all those, the guy who played Jaws,
yeah.
What's his name? Yeah. So, but,
yeah, he's just Jaws. I'm sure he legally changed his name to Jaws.
Yeah, he should. So, yeah, but great movie, a great song. I mean, again, a perfect pairing of artist and style of song to Bond song. Perfect,
And it's interesting that soon after this song, in the summer of '85, the band would splinter, at least temporarily, into two other bands. Arcadia, containing Simon Le Bon and one of the others, and then Power Station. Yeah.
With
Robert Palmer.
Robert Palmer.
Yeah.
And Power Station.
The late Robert Palmer.
Yes. Some Like It Hot and
the
Love. Yeah.
Bang a Gong, Get It On.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then they reconstituted, right?
Yeah. Then they came back. They had a few more hits in the late '80s. Paused for a bit, at least success-wise, and then came back again in the early '90s, and they've been going strong ever since.
Yeah. So all in all, that takes us to #1. An incredible week. I would say like a good cross-section week of the '80s. You've got huge stars. Oh my gosh. We talked about Cyndi Lauper, Bruce Springsteen, Whitney Houston,
Prince.
Duran, Prince.
Phil Collins.
Yeah, all at the top of their game.
Yeah.
'85, this was the summer of Back to the Future. This was
We Are the World, USA for Africa.
Absolutely. So great, an exceptional week, I think, for among our weeks. So that
and this was right during Live Aid was in July of '85. So this was right in the heart of that.
That's right. So, and again, great week. So we're gonna end it right here with the recording. Thanks, Parth. Great countdown, great
Thanks
week.
so much.
And everyone out there, we will see you next time.